Today we're back with my little pomegranate. This has started from seed at the same time as the one I showed last week. At the end of the last video on this, I repotted it and it just exploded with growth. So I'm now just trimming it back. I've pretty much trimmed this tree non-stop since the start. That's why it's got quite a slim trunk and an okay amount of ramification. At this point it's like 3.5 years old, and this was back in March 2020. When I prune this, I pretty much take it back to the second pair of leaves. Then it'll usually send some new shoots out from there. I like this tree a lot, mainly because it's very vigorous. I think it has a lot of potential. Here it is after it's pruned. I'm not actually sure where the front is yet, but we can work that out another day. Stone is just to support the tree after the repot while its roots get established again. It just stops the tree getting knocked over. I could just wire the tree into the pot, but I find the stones are just less hassle for me. Here's a wire from the underside. I started removing it and I thought I should show you exactly how much was on there before I took it all off. I think this is only 2 or 3 months after putting it on. But as you can see, it's set pretty well. That strong spring growth helped with that. It wasn't cutting in or anything, but it had done its job, so it was just removed. Here I'm just giving it a light prune. Again, I'm pretty relentless with this tree. But that's why you should get loads of trees. Some you can abandon them and let them thicken up, and others you can just constantly prune and abuse, and within a few years you can see if there's any difference. Here it is in May, looking well trimmed. By June it's started to shoot off again. Probably could have pruned it here, especially since I was sort of planning to do a monthly trim. But that didn't happen, and in August we had this madness. It just amazes me how quickly this tree grows. So I forced myself to give it another trim back. It looks a bit flat on top, which isn't really what I'm after. But this tree is very young, so I'm not worried about that. By September it's still going. Even though the growing season is coming to an end, it just won't stop growing. I decided to leave it alone at this point. That growth can be cut back at the end of winter. By November it stopped growing, finally. It was still pretty green though. You can see a few little specks of colour change, but not much. But that's fine, it was going to go into the shed soon for a proper chill. And at the end of February I brought it back inside to start waking it up for an early spring. Here it is next to my other pomegranate. Obviously the blue pot is a bit bigger, but not by much. But you can see the difference in the trunk thickness. The blue tree gets left alone all year, and the small one gets constantly trimmed. Anyway, let's get this guy trimmed up before spring. You can see there is plenty of growth and it's a bit of a mess. There's a lot of small, fine branching, which is wonderful to see on such a young tree, but I think a lot of it's going to have to be removed now. This is what I was left with after the pruning. So a good reduction, but it's not too bare. Still a bit messy though, it could definitely do with some wire. There is this one branch though I'm not happy with. This looks too thick and awkward. It's also pretty much coming from a spot where two other branches are, so it's probably going to cause trouble in a few years, so it just needs to go. I think it looks a lot better now. A few weeks later and the buds start to swell, so it's getting close to repotting time. I've also probably missed my window to wire it. Basically I was lazy, but if I try it now I'll just knock all the buds off. Here we are this March. As you can see, those buds are pretty much about to open, so it's the perfect time to repot. Well, that came out really easy. It looks like a good solid root ball. I just started taking away the soil, which looks a little wet, but I'm sure it'll be fine. It's pretty matted at the bottom, but I eventually got it all raked out and this is what I was left with. Not too bad. So I started trimming. Obviously out of view of the camera, but yeah, I didn't take much off and this is what it looks like. A decent little spread, not amazing, but a lot of good potential for the future. Let's get this potted back up. I gave the pot a quick clean, nothing special, just brushed under hot water. I then just used my normal mix and put the tree back in and filled it up around it. All very simple. Like I said before, I'm not worried about the front yet, that'll come with time. So here we are after the repot. It's 4 years old now at this point, but I think it's looking pretty good. Here we are now in April. It's already growing like crazy. I'm going to continue to constantly prune it this year. So I may as well just start as a mean to go on and give it its first trim of the year. Just a light prune for now, but that's all it needs. This tree is a lot of fun and I'm excited to see where it goes this year. Thanks for watching. See you next time.